And it became, and it's on my blog. You can read it. It's in 2 parts.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was very clear to me that despite what he says, if you fact check it at all, you'll start to find very big holes in everything that he ever says and major caveats. So I would like to say that I'm tired of being right and that you should always listen to me because I've got a very good sense about these things. And I could have told you from minute one that this thing will completely, somebody's going to end up with hurt feelings or worse. And it's like, dude.
Hello, and welcome to the Absolute Guard Podcast. We're a competitive fighting game community podcast examining history and current events from the lens of the Arizona grassroots scene.
Yes, welcome. This is episode 65. My name is Benny, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host John, who I guess this is sounds like it's his first episode since he's kind of off the rails. But anyway,
we've taken like 3 different takes today, 3 different intro takes.
We are also joined today by KingHippo, aka Tanner. How's it going, Tanner?
Hi, everybody. Good to be back.
Yo,
cool.
Nice long break. A little too long of a break, I guess, but we're back. Got news to talk about. A lot of things going on. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, so you're our resident. Well, I guess you're our podcast insider for the MK1 scene. So we'll get to talking to you about a little bit about that. I just wanted to touch briefly. Speaking of MK1, there was somebody at my work of all places that kind of was like just spoke up to me and asked me. He was like, "Are you Benny?" And I'm just like, "Yeah," because I'd never seen this person before. And turns out his name's Randall, and I guess he was working with Scott the other night, and get to talking about the FGC and stuff. I guess his main game's MK1 right now, and and he asked about the podcast. He was like, "Hey, what's the name of the podcast?" I was riding with Saber, and we were talking about FGC stuff, and I was like, "Oh, cool." Wow. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, just
That's
kind of
a
random encounter at work.
Shout outs to Randall.
Yeah, so if you're tuning in, Randall, nice to meet you, bro.
You're a celebrity now, Benny. People recognize you on the street.
Yeah, that's got to be a first. Yeah.
Oh man, are you the AK Grandmaster?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you after Defend the North, I got 5th at that tournament, and the tournament ended at like 9 p.m. that local time, and so there weren't a lot of restaurants open, and so me and Jess ended up going to a KFC. And somebody in the line just, they were clearly like, they had just left the venue and had gone to the KFC just like we had. But they were like, they recognized me. They're like, "Are you Porta John?" And I took that and elevated my ego very, very much because Jess was like, upset about that. Because I was like, "Yes, I am Porta John. Tell me what you would like to know about Chun-Li. I can help you in any way possible." And I was just totally dumping all the knowledge that I could about Chun-Li on there because I was so smitten by the fact that I got.
She was already like, "Yes, I do have a pen. Absolutely. Where do you want me to?"
Seafood Porter John. Seafood Porter John. It's an honor, sir.
Yeah, sorry. Jess was rolling her eyes the whole time though. She was just like, "Oh my god, his ego is huge now." And I tell that story to some friends every now and then about how big my ego is.
Hilarious.
I think we did that. I think we did talk about that on the podcast after when we were recapping Defend the North for you.
I even talk about it on podcasts that I'm on. That's how big an ego.
No, man, it's cool. I mean, it's one of those things too. It's like I know some people are just like, call me by my real name, but it's just like I know if somebody says, "Hey, are you Grandmaster?" I'm just like, I already know where you should know me from. So I'm like, okay, where do you know me from, or where did you hear about me?
Hopefully not in a threatening way. You don't like put them in a headlock and it's like, "Where did you hear
that?" Who told you that name?
A yoga noogie ready to.
Gotta do the slap.
Yeah, that's the best part. Yeah.
Slap into my throw loops. There we go. Yeah. So how's it been, Tanner, in the MK1 scene? Because I think last time we talked to you, that was pre-patch,
pre-release. I think
pre-release. Yeah, we were talking about the beta.
We had the demo. Yeah, the demo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And then everything, everywhere, all at once. I didn't say that because of that poster there, but I feel like everything happened to me all at one time. So it was a little weird, and I had to adjust to that for a few months. But now I'm fully caught up, I think. So Just as I'll just point this out as far as locally, I believe there's like a launch weekend tournament, and this time it was like a launch month tournament. So
Oh,
Keith Abbott, the great Keith Abbott, who
yeah,
runs
from Euphoria
Euphoria
Gaming.
Gaming, yeah, he
Yeah.
held a tournament at TGZ. I never saw the bracket, so I don't know how many people were there. I do know the top three was Tristan, who's also goes by One Savvy Savage. I've played him since I think the first Injustice, so that tracks. Second was Sammy Flappy from Tucson.
Mm,
Again,
okay.
pretty expected, playing him for a long time in these games. And third was a young man who stole my name, Blue Aurora Hippo, who goes by Yilmaz. And he's also very talented young kid. So I know this is unexpected. So it sounds like the usual customers are coming in, which is cool. I didn't see, like I said, I didn't see how many people were there, but it's nice to know that there at least was a tournament. Um, and so MK1 has had, it has a pro competition, just like Capcom Cup, sort of. There's only been two, I think, like two major tournaments that have happened under it, which was ECT, closer to the launch date. I think it was like at the end of September, and Ultimate Fighting Arena, which it was just in France, like I want to say 2-3 weeks ago. Those are the only
Okay.
two major events, but they were pretty cool. Hundreds of entrants, it was pretty exciting.
Nice.
And then there's only been one like really major patch to like character balance, but as I'll get into, I think it was more of like a pretty typical NRS trope than like a real balance patch. But I'll get into that. But I think so far, people like the game. The game has definitely had a pretty good reception for the gameplay. There's some things outside of it that people have been very critical of, which I totally understand. But the gameplay itself, a lot of people are very excited by the cameo system and how that works. And DLC characters are starting to come out. We just had Omni Man came
Mhm.
out about a month ago with Tremor, the cameo character, and now we're gonna have Quan Chi will be available on December 14th, and Chameleon, the cameo, will be available in January. So we're just
Oh,
rolling right along with DLC stuff now.
Okay. And cameos are a really unique avenue to just continually pump out that DLC and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
balance implications as well.
it's weird because it's not like there's a new assist in Marvel because it's like it's got to be a new character. This
Yeah.
Yeah.
character's gonna have assists, but now you can just add new assist characters.
Yeah.
And Tremor, and we'll get into it later. Tremor is actually a very, very unique cameo who's unlike any other character. So
I wonder if
Nice.
that's like by design for MK1, where like it's yet another like okay. So the way, what I'm thinking about it is like MOBAs where there's like an item shop. So you have like
Yeah.
character to character balance in MOBA games, but then you also have like this like overarching knob to turn essentially. And for fighting games, that's
Mm,
usually system mechanics. Um, but the cameo
yeah.
system, like I guess that's technically a system mechanic, but we label them as
yeah,
characters, right?
I would say it's a
So
system mechanic. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just that's a unique way where they could essentially address the meta of the game via the cameos alone.
which is
Um,
basically what they did. As I'll get into, that's exactly
oh,
what happened. Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So John, you're right on the money. It's an easy thing to tweak. That will play more, I think, than any character balance individually will, and it has.
cool.
So I would say I had this list I typed out here. So from the demo, which I played, they had two. There was one round, and then there was another. And basically, uh, there were some takeaways I had from it. One of them was so there's two types of cameo summons in the game. Like there's one called an ambush, which is like a traditional Marvel's Capcom one. You could press it at any moment,
Oh,
and the character comes out and interrupts things and does all this stuff.
Yeah.
Then there's one called a summon, where your character does a little pose, and then the move comes out and does a move, and then you kind of return back to neutral. So like you can't really use it like
oh,
mid. You could use it to like launch a combo, but like at the end of it'd have to be an end of a combo or a relaunch or something. So it's like not a move you can
Yeah.
just throw out there.
okay.
And they have so I was in the demo. We only had I think 4 cameos,
Yeah.
and the ambush one seemed to be way better than the summon one. So in the demo, it was Kano. Kano, you could throw his knives, and his knife
Yeah.
throwing
Yeah.
was extremely good.
Right.
Everybody was using it. So we kind of figured those were going to be. I was wondering, okay, will the summon cameos offer something to be better than the ambush ones, who on paper seem way better? That was my
Yeah.
first thought. My second thought was, I really like to have training mode back because there's a lot of wacky stuff you'd have to play with. And I was wondering would it be just like MK11's, which was really good? Is it going to be like closer to as Street Fighter 6's, which is like a new gold standard where there's a bunch of different options, you can play with a bunch of settings? That
Yeah.
would be great. I'd love that. So I was waiting on that. The third thing I was wondering is that there is a series of tropes that almost comes with every major NetherRealm release regarding balance and characters and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Were we free from the loop, or were we just in a spiral, or were we truly stuck in a loop? I was gonna find out is have we escaped that? So then the game comes out, and it's been out for a few months now, and I think I have definitive answers to all my questions. So the first one is that the summon cameos are in fact very good, very, very, very good, and the prevalence of one in particular, that of Kung Lao, has made sure that my fears about them being overridden by ambush was probably overstated.
Hmm.
Right now in the game's meta, Kung Lao, who's his major one is that he comes out and he calls him and he throws a hat on the ground and you can hold it and it spins in place and then it zooms out and it hits low and it's basically dominating the game's meta. Almost everybody uses it. Some characters can combo in and out of it. Some people can just do straight up like close to unblockables with it, making you extremely
Yeah.
guess between a jump in and a low. So it's very good, and it is a summon cameo. It is not one that you can use as an ambush. He does have an ambush attack. It's not as good.
Yeah.
Although I would say the ambush moves are very, very good. We're also seeing another character start to take over a lot, which is Striker, who has these grenades that he can throw out, and he does them from fairly far behind you. So it can make
Yeah.
it really, really difficult to counterattack.
Hmm.
So I would say, in the end, both versions of cameos have their uses. I was probably a little too emo. I think just the selection we got in the demo probably gave me a bad first impression.
Yeah. I could see that for sure.
Mhm.
And then I think the other one that I saw a lot of was a Cyrax.
Oh yeah, Cyrax, yeah.
Yeah.
So Cyrax, he had an ambush one, and his was kind of unique. So if you just press the cameo button, he'd come out and do like this helicopter move that went straight up.
Yeah.
Good for combo extensions, and it was really good actually because this is kind of unique. In NetherRealm games, throw animations aren't sacred, so you can bust those, with anything. And in most games, it was just like, you threw them in this, Sub Zero's clone or something, and you could freeze them. In this
Yeah.
game, you can just call the cameo and break a lot of these throws, but most of them don't allow you to combo. But Cyrax could, so characters could do, regular throws that were doing like command grab damage because he threw you. So that was interesting. And then the biggest one he had was if you held the cameo button, his vertical helicopter would now become a horizontal one, and he'd kind of fly diagonally up.
Yeah.
This was amazing for combos, for doing an unsafe move and then calling that out, and you're still plus. So you can do it again, doing a lot of chip. I mean, this just did everything. And for a minute, it was taking over the entire game.
Yeah.
Especially if you watch ECT, you'll see a ton of Cyrax. You'll see a ton of
Yeah.
Cyrax. And if you played online at the time, it was all Cyrax. Because that was ubiquitously, I think, the best cameo for like many, many characters.
Yeah.
And then I'll get back into what changed about that a little bit later. But yes, you're right. That was probably the best of the best ambush one. And Kung Lao's like the best summoned one. And then there's some that are in between, like Goro has this move where he comes in. It's literally called Raise the Roof, where he punches up with all four of his arms.
Oh,
And yeah,
tier.
that move it's actually better than that. So he comes out so fast and the move is actually he recovers really quickly. So the move makes basically any move kind of plus on block. So you'll have a character like Kung Lao. Kung Lao's armored reversal is safe. It's -7. But it doesn't on hit, it just kind of knocks you away. If you call Goro at the same time as you do it, on hit, you get a full combo because the way Goro knocks you up is like a very generous launch. And on block, it becomes like +4. So he has like a plus on block, armored reversal that you get a full combo on hit.
What?
Which is pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so now the thing about Goro is his recharge rate is actually pretty slow. So if you use him twice in a combo, even just once, it can take a long time for him to get his full cameo bar back. Because once it goes past a certain rate, you can't use the cameo anymore.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you have to be
Remember that,
careful
yeah.
of that. That's how some of them are balanced. Some have faster recharge rates. That's why Kung Lao is so good, because his recharge rate on the low hat is insanely fast. Because it drains if you hold it, but even when you hold it and you drain it, combo bar all the way down, it still refills up really fast. So pretty
Yeah,
much everyone's using it constantly.
So is it like it's a setup tool? Like you knock them down, you call Kung Lao, and then they wake up into the buzzsaw. Is that how that
That's
works?
certainly one of them. A lot of people will do it like that. A lot of people just do it at neutral. They just
They
call
just
it.
do it.
They just
Okay.
call it, hold it
Yeah.
for a second, and then they start dashing or jump, and then they let it go, and then the other guy pretty much has to react, right? Because it's a low
This is
hat, it's a low, it hits the ground, so you have to either jump or block it.
this is the
Mm.
summon though, right? So like
It is a
there's
summon,
still
but
some.
it's a very fast summon. It's like, huh, and then he comes out, and then you're free to move.
Oh,
And
okay.
you
So you can't
and
really
the
punish
low
it
hat
from full
spins in
screen.
place. Yeah, and the low hat spins in place when you hold it, and you can still move your character. So, yeah, it
Nice.
can lead to
Okay.
some pretty obnoxious. Luckily, there is an unblockable prevention built in the game, so within certain frames, if you hit an overhead low, you will automatically block it. So they thought
Okay.
about that, you know. So you have to kind of loosen it up just a little bit, but even still, some of them are complete bullshit to block. So it's not like it's completely like, oh, there's no unblockables whatsoever. No, some of them are pretty darn close. Um,
Okay.
so this will jump now. You can practice this a lot in training mode, but I would say number two is where I was probably disappointed the most. So MK1 is a game on a new engine for NetherRealm, completely built
Mm.
from the ground up.
Yeah.
And with that comes a lot of, technical glitches and bugs. And I would say that the training mode really suffered from a lot of these bugs. I mean, when it first came out, they didn't even have they didn't have a way to switch characters or cameos in the training mode. You had to like back out every time,
Oh man,
I
which is
that's
see.
like in every game now they have that, right? Like that's just
yeah.
like a ubiquitous feature. So that was a little disappointing. There was also the record feature was bugged to where if you if you set the recording and then hit playback, it would not remember your custom settings. So, like, let's say
Weird.
you set it to always block and it was
Yeah.
crouching. If you hit playback
Oh.
recording, it would not remember that.
Oh,
So
that's
you'd have to go
bad
back and
actually.
yeah, you'd have to go
That's
back and set all that stuff again.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was really bad. And
That
that in addition to like you couldn't, I don't know, this is in MK, but like in MK, you can tag moves. So like in the move list, you hit this button and it stars it, and then it's starred on the basically the fight plane
oh, like
for
a
when you press
favorite kind of thing.
like a favorite. Yeah, you
Yeah.
couldn't do that anymore. That wasn't in the game. That sucked.
Oh.
I think the jump movement, like if you set someone to jump, they would jump at time intervals. It wasn't like when they recovered from an attack. So like, let's say I wanted to practice someone, I duck jab them, and then I want to see if they jump really fast.
Yeah.
It would be on a timer, so they would jump a little bit after they recovered. Again, not very helpful. Um, and there was just a lot of things. There was a major sound bug in the game for a while. This affected not only the main game, like like
Mhm.
the story mode, but also in the just the regular modes. The sound would glitch out really bad, and you could only hear the characters' grunts, and so
Oh.
it was, yeah, it was a little rough. A lot of these are fixed now, like the training mode now has the tagging is back. You can
Yeah.
now swap cameos in the training mode, which I'll
Okay.
take. That's better than nothing, right?
Yeah, better enough, yeah.
The recording playback bug is fixed, so there's no problems with that. I would say there's some major things I would still like to see. Like another one is like Street Fighter 6 has it to where if you hold a direction and press replay and press restart, you'll go to that side of the screen,
Yeah,
Mhm.
right? They don't
very
have that in
helpful,
Mortal
yeah.
Kombat. You can still do it in the menu, but you have to like set it. I think that
Uh-huh.
would be better. But yeah, and I guess that ties in with a lot of stuff. Like when the game first came out, there was a lot of bugs.
Mhm.
And they've just been slowly working at getting all those fixed. And it's
Uh,
been hard, there's a lot of and that ties into the third thing, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, I was gonna say that just that made it pretty difficult. The training mode was just not working properly, which I thought was a bummer.
were
No,
there
okay.
features in the training like the switch character thing as an example? Like was that in Mortal Kombat 11 and not in 1 or has it never been in Mortal Kombat before?
It was sort of in Mortal Kombat 11. It was you could trade like because Mortal Kombat 11 they still had variations
Mhm.
and they
So
still
you
Mhm.
could
had
choose
slots.
variation.
Yeah, so you could switch variations in the training mode, but you couldn't swap a whole character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and my guess is they can do it. It's just not like a huge priority.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But I hope that's a feature that's added later. Even though the cameos I think is good because that was one that really bugged me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I want to see one thing and then I want to back out all the way back to character select.
Yeah, that's pretty whack.
It's pretty whack, yeah. But they fixed that, so there's a little bit better now. But when it comes to the bugs too, so which gets to my third thing. So we've avoided absolutely none of the typical tropes. All there. Some good, some bad. So one of the big tropes that always comes out with an NRS game is like the first few weeks you'll start to notice immediately like there are these really weird exceptions to the game's rules that some characters can just take advantage of mercilessly. And they may not be better on paper than other characters, but they just break the rules. It's kind of like vanilla Street Fighter 4 Sagat, right? As we learned, when he was normalized, he was like an okay character. He was like mid tier, right? Or maybe high mid tier. But he wasn't like,
Yeah.
I'm going to dominate the entire game in some
Yeah.
instances like he was in the vanilla version, right? So that's kind of what we have in NRS games a lot. You're going to see one character that's like, I don't know what they do differently, but they do something differently and they're way better than everybody else. So everybody picks them. And then they get changed, and it's really like a course correct. It's like a bug fix more than it is a balance change, but everybody gets pissed off about it. So I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. Raiden and Baraka, when the game first came out, these characters were doing like with maybe like one cameo and one bar, they were doing like 550 damage. You know,
Yeah.
if 1,000 is the base standard, doing half-life combos for nothing, just shitting it out of their ass. And we were all curious about like, okay, why is that? And it became very clear the problem it's a scaling issue basically. There's like certain moves they do that just don't scale. So if you're
Oh,
supposed to go from let's say 100 to 80, you're going from
Yeah.
100 to 97 and then 80. And now you and so it's like okay, they're doing a shitload of damage only because one move somewhere in this combo is not scaling properly. So that was
Ah.
exactly what it was. Raiden has a move called Shocker. It's like his main combo starter where it's like he lifts him up and then a Thunderbolt launches him up off the ground.
Yeah.
That move didn't scale properly. So basically, at the front load of his combos, he wasn't starting scaling until after that move happened.
sure.
And so he would do a lot of damage. And Baraka had a similar one, but it was at the end of his combos. So he had this move called Stab Stab, very original, where he would like stab the opponent, and if they're in the air, it would go into like a hit grab, and then he'd throw him down, and you could call a cameo to juggle that after he threw him down, and then he would finish the combo. He'd do like 600 damage in the corner, and that move just didn't scale right. So those got fixed, and people got really mad. But
Okay, I was
again,
gonna say this seems
yeah.
par for the course for a versus game at this point.
So
Like that's the general thing I'm hearing is
yeah.
like there's some growing pains going from a mainline Mortal Kombat franchise to a versus game.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. So that's one of them is like big damage and big safe because Baraka and Raiden
yeah,
also had the same derp game plan where they just do a big special move that's long, and then they call in the cameo that will just make them plus unblock again and just do it over again. And it does a
yeah.
ton of chip. Now,
Mhm.
luckily, MK1 kept flawless block from MK11. They just took out like attacks from it. So you can flawless block a move and it will negate all the chip damage that's being done.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
So
cool.
luckily if there's usually a gap in those strings somewhere. If you're on top of it, you can flawless block and negate a lot of the chip, but you're still in the advantage situation. But
Yeah.
you can at least lose a lot of the chip. But that was the game plan. So if you watch ECT, there's a ton of like do a long move, call Cyrax, do a long move, call Cyrax again, and blah, 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 and you get a full combo on hit, and it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big corrections. The other one was Cyrax. Now there's a few cameos in the game where it's like you tap cameo and then you either hold it or press it again, and
Yeah.
it uses the whole cameo bar, but it does a more advanced version of the move. So
Oh,
Sector
okay. Like
Sector
EX.
comes out. His move is he shoots a missile up from his chest, and there's 3 different spots it can hit based on if you hold back or forward or hit it at neutral. If
Mhm.
you held cameo though, it would spend all the cameo meter to do a homing one that would just kind of follow you around the screen.
No, that's cool.
And the idea is that it's so good that you have to gate it by you can only do it once and then you got to recharge the whole bar.
Yeah.
Goro has a similar move where his classic Shokan stomp where he jumps in the air and stomps on you. It's unblockable.
Yeah.
You can do that, but it's like cameo. He comes out, and then you got to press cameo again really quick, and then he does it. You can set up certain unblockable setups with it on knockdown and stuff. It's not like incredibly powerful, but they wanted to make it so it's like, okay, you can't just spam this unblockable move. We already saw
Yeah.
that with Shiva and MK11. It
Yeah.
didn't go
That's
down.
what that's what I say. Shiva.
Yeah, we saw how that went down, so we don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there was once again one exception to this rule where Cyrax, the way you did his horizontal chopper that everyone was using was you had to hold the cameo and he would do a move that was different and better than the one that he normally had. Normally it would cost 2 cameo bars. It just didn't. It only cost 1. So they fixed
Ah.
it. So now it costs the whole bar to do the one better version of the move,
Yeah.
which again,
Okay.
people are like, oh my God, they're nerfing creativity. I'm like, bro, you
That
were just
yeah.
doing that twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no creativity. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause, Sonic went on this big rant about how much he hates that they're nerfing creativity. I'm like, again, all you guys ever did was one string into that and then did it again. They're
Yeah.
actually forcing you to think of different things to do than that.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
do it once. You can do it once, but you got to do something else. And again, it wasn't like again, it was the exception to the rule. It was not like, oh, this move was good and then they change it. It's like a bug fix. So again, that was another one that happened.
Yeah.
The third one, which was like not used as much, but like it was also a bug fix, was there's certain cameos that they have an invulnerable property when you do them when you get up or when you're in a block string. So like it's almost like an alpha counter. So like Sub Zero has one called
Okay.
Cold Shoulder where he comes out and charges you with his shoulder, and it's invulnerable if you do it in a block string. So you can
Uh,
at certain times just get through block strings with it. Sonya has one too, and Serena has one. And now the thing about them though is that they are different than their versions that if they hit without being a reversal. Sonya's
Okay.
leg grab launches. So normally she grabs you with her legs and flips you over and you're launched. When you do it as a reversal or a get up, it does not launch. It just knocks you down.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now here's the
Yeah.
problem. Kung Lao had a similar one. He had his cameo had his spin, which was a summon move. It had the
yeah.
same property. It was invulnerable when you did his reversal, and it launched on regular hit. So you could do like a combo, a mini combo, call that, and you'd launch. On reversal, this also launched. So you would have characters just wait for you to block string and then just use Kung Lao spin and launch you. This was
Okay.
the except no other cameo worked like this.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was a hard rule that they didn't launch, and this was the only one that didn't do it. In fact, it was so bugged that it worked on get up, you would just get knocked away when you got hit by it. But on reversal, it was still a launch. So they
So,
fixed it.
so,
Yeah. See,
so you're phrasing it in terms of a bug that needed to be fixed, right? But like the
yeah.
community, did the community feel that it was a bug? Like overall,
Oh,
like is
it
the
was a
consensus
bunch of
that it
fluffy
was a
ducks.
bug?
No, of course not, John.
No, no, I would say because like I did see some stuff on
Jesus,
Twitter, like
what do you think I'm talking
it,
about it for?
it would come through my feed, and like I do remember there was definitely a lot of people that were like, oh, they should have left it as it was, or they should have made everybody else's like that, like, you know what I mean, like buff,
Yes.
don't take it away. And then there was definitely other people that were like, that was the only one that did that, like
Mhm.
what the heck, like it needed to be normalized.
You're exactly right, Benny. And I
Yeah,
think you guys could appreciate this. It's like in Street Fighter 6, like, okay, you don't like that characters can do like crouch medium kick drive rush and that like is really dominating like the meta, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
That they would be pretending like, well, there's one character that when you do crouch medium kick DRC, it does 100% scaling instead of the 80% it's supposed to. And then they
Right.
fixed
Right.
it and they're like, I can't believe they nerfed him. It's fucking
yeah,
bullshit.
yeah,
Blah, blah.
yeah.
It's like, no.
It would always come from the character loyalists too, right? Oh,
Of course. Oh,
they
they're
would
super
nerf Yeef.
salty.
Like, no,
Yeah,
it's not.
it's a
There.
bug fix, and it has unintended consequences, of course, in the meta. But
Yeah,
if you think about it, it's like they did think these things through. It wasn't just like a oh shit, press this button and it'll fix it. Like it was not. It now there were some actual changes which do stream of balance changes. There was one, Kung Lao's hat, his low hat, the cameo. It has more recovery time,
Oh,
barely.
okay.
It's
So that's
barely a nerf,
addressed.
but yeah, there's a little bit. And also cameos, if you use them twice in a combo, they take way longer to recharge the meter. So they didn't want
That's decent. Yeah.
I don't think they wanted someone doing like, oh, they do Scorpion twice or Cyrax
yeah,
twice, and now they just did a shitload of damage. So all these things combined brought the damage down to like, I mean, Baraka literally won UFA. Like Tekken Master won Ultimate Fighting Arena with Baraka using the same exact tactic. He just switched to Striker. So it's like it like did it really affect the character that bad? I feel like there's some cap there.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are my three big takeaways from the demo going into the main game. I'm pretty surprised. Like I said, I thought maybe they would change some of these tropes, but going with how the training mode was kind of bugged and stuff, I kind of figured some of these things would end up slipping through. But I think the
Yeah.
balance overall is actually pretty good. Again, the cameos, like I mentioned, they've been adjusting those more than they do the characters. And I
Mm,
think that is what's ultimately going to have a bigger effect on the meta is how those cameos are used because they really swing, a lot of characters are pretty fully equipped, like to do launch it. They can launch, like, it's not like MK11 where, like, if you didn't have this variant move,
yeah.
you couldn't even launch, like, for a combo. We are not in those
Mm,
days anymore. We're back to normal MK wackiness where it's like overhead low and both of them's
yeah.
launch. And then you can use a cameo to make a plus on block. Like, it's back to those days. And I think for the better. I think it's a fun game. It's a more fun game that way.
It's whether or
Yeah. I
not you
think.
want to lean into the bullshit, right? Fundamentally.
Yeah.
Well, I think they want to lean into it by making the cameos more bullshitty than the
Yeah.
Than the
characters, which
Well,
I
characters.
yeah.
think
See,
works better.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I feel like that's an intentional balance decision on their part because it's like why not, instead of messing a character and then all of a sudden that character dominates the scene, it's like, all right, let's adjust this cameo, see how this affects things, and if they need to adjust it, then you could just pick a different cameo, right? You'll find another similar thing or something like that
which is
to work
exactly what
with.
happened. Tekken
Yeah,
Master stopped using Cyrax and he switched to Striker. Seems to be
yeah.
doing fine,
So it doesn't,
like
yeah, because it, like, I definitely know, like, especially like character loyalists or whatever, like, if they nerf your character to a point to where like it's not competitively viable, like that really sucks, right?
yeah,
At
yeah,
least
of
like,
course.
if they change the cameo and it's just like, oh well, I can't use this person anymore, that's okay. I'll find somebody else.
Yeah, and I think that's what's gonna happen, especially since, like, so I'll talk about Tremor a little bit. Tremor just got released. He's a DLC cameo, and he is different than every other cameo that's come before him. So Tremor, he technically debuted in this really shitty game called MK Special Forces,
Hmm.
which is like a side scroller beat 'em up starring Jax. It's like a black exploitation film.
Oh, jeez, I didn't know that
Yeah,
part about it.
it's
I knew it was
rough.
a beat 'em up,
It's
but
it's bad, but the
oh,
character Tremor debuted in that game, and he's like an earthen ninja. So he controls like the element of earth or whatever.
Yeah.
So he formally debuted gameplay wise in MKX, and he had 3 different variations. So they wanted to preserve that in his MK1 form. So he is the only character. He has 3 different variations of cameo that you can switch between. So he
Oh.
starts in his metallic, which is like his default variation, and then if you press cameo, he comes in and swaps. So he just literally the character comes in and swaps, and it now changes to crystalline or it changes to earth. I don't know. It's something like that. The one
like
is like
rocks.
metallic lava. Yeah, metallic lava. One is like rock based, and then another one is crystalline.
Okay.
And he has 3 different moves per variation. So he ultimately has 9 cameo moves he can do. Now that's not the wackiest part though. The wackiest part is that when he comes in, he switches the variation, and you can, if you press down or up, he swaps it in a different, like, let's say he normally goes clockwise. If you press down and do it, he'll go in a counterclockwise. So instead of going from metallic to earth, he'll go from metallic to crystalline or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
When he comes out during the little animation where he comes out and changes, if you press the cameo move again, he will now become an ambush cameo and do the move of the variation that he's coming in to do. So
Oh,
here's a very typical situation of what's happening right now. Someone starts
Yeah.
in metallic and then they swap to crystalline while doing
Mhm.
a move. And when he's in crystalline, he puts this armor on you where you can absorb a hit. So it's like you're in a combo, you call him in, he puts the armor on you while you're getting up, and now you absorb their get up attack and absorb an armor through their string, and now you combo. When normally
wow.
all of his attacks are summon attacks. He doesn't have a single ambush move, but he can
Right.
basically make any move an ambush. It costs 2 cameo bars. So one to come in, one to do the move. But he can do crazy things like there's a character called Reiko, and Reiko's big move is that he does a command grab. And when you do the command grab, you can call Tremor, and he does a certain attack where it like makes like a pulse on the ground that's an unblockable, and it
Like a tremor.
restands your character as they're getting up. Yeah, and it's it's exactly right. And they restand from the command grab animation. They restand as they're getting hit, and Reiko recovers in time to do a full combo after that. So his command grab is now leading to like 450 damage or whatever, provided he gets the right read and has enough cameo bars. So he can do crazy things like that. And now with the new one we're going to have coming in after with Quan Chi is Chameleon. Chameleon is a old character that was debuted in Mortal Kombat Trilogy for N64, and it was basically a female ninja, but she could be all of them, and she
Yeah.
would she would turn into it on a timely manner in the game. So okay, a certain amount of
Oh,
time has
okay.
passed, you turn into
Yeah.
Katana. A certain amount of time has passed, you turn into Jade.
Mhm.
It looks like that's what she's gonna work like too in this game. So basically, in a matter of speaking, she might have 3 different characters cameo moves, but based on the time intervals, she's gonna change to another one. Maybe you can control it, I don't know. But
That's
that's what it
interesting.
looks like. She has all 3 ninja moves, and she does
Wow.
Yeah.
different throw animations depending on which one she's in and stuff like that. So
The
they've definitely
tremor
thought,
one. Oh,
yeah.
like I'm thinking about like the tremor one, and I'm like, that they made a stance out of an assist. Like it's essentially
Yeah,
a stance
basic.
character, right?
Yeah, mhm,
And
exactly
I
right.
like I know that it sounds really absurd, but like I also give them props for trying that because I don't think anyone's really pushing like Dragon Ball Fighters. Like as good as that game was, didn't really push the assists
Yeah.
idea of a fighting game very
I think
much.
Nappa was probably the most unique one. I think he had that one where he'd like He had the one where he put a Cyberman, or he had some. It was
Yeah.
like some unique assist. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And there's a character called Shujinko, and Shujinko is from MK Deception. He was the main character of the story mode. And in that
Mm.
mode, you like travel around and you get moves from different. It's actually exactly like World Tour mode. In fact, I think
Okay, that
World
makes
Tour mode
sense.
stole from Deception. You make a character, you have a character, they take moves from like iconic characters, and now you can put in your own moves and
Yeah.
make
Oh
your own
wow,
character
yeah.
that has custom moves of like two different characters mashed together. So Shujinko is in this game too, and instead of having a cameo bar that's full, you have to call him in and he charges. So like he's an ambush assist, so you can call him in like while you're doing a combo, and he
Okay.
sits there meditating for a sec to get his cameo bar up. Once it's up, his cameo attacks are different versions of the opponent's character's special moves. So let's say you're fighting Scorpion, he
Oh.
his now his cameo attack is he does a spear. So you can pull characters in for a relaunch with the spear because Shujinko now does that. And he
Uh,
steals the opponent's moves basically. And it's a very unique idea. Nobody uses him because it's kind of complex and some of the moves he gets are kind of shitty,
yeah.
but it's pretty unique way to go about it, I think.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think about like I guess Captain Ginyu would probably be an example of that,
That's
but even then
yeah, yeah.
that's a set like you have to set that shit up and everything versus like
Yeah.
here I will just take a tool of yours and then use that in my combo
Yeah.
strings now, which is I think a lot
Yeah.
more accessible.
Yeah.
I think Shujinko is only gonna really do damage if there is one character that he steals from that is just absurd. That is like there's potential if you're with if you fight Shang Tsung, he steals the morph ability from Shang Tsung to turn into another character, but he turns
Oh.
into your opponent's cameo. So
Uh
Shang Tsung can normally morph into another character.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like
yeah.
his specialty. Shujinko, when he steals the morph from Shang Tsung, what he does is he transforms into your opponent's cameo. So if you're Shang Tsung and you use, I don't know, Kung Lao, he now
Yeah.
steals Kung Lao and becomes Kung Lao.
That seems needlessly complicated though, because like, why not just play Kung Lao instead?
Yeah, I know it's
Like,
funny, but it is kind of
yeah,
fun that like he does that. Because they
yeah,
thought
it's
about
like
okay,
a
what if you're
chain
in this
reaction.
yeah. There's some characters that have moves that affect the cameos. Like Sindel has one where like if you hit a cameo while it's on screen with his move, the cameo now she uses it. She pulls it under her command.
Oh,
Like you get to use it instead.
oh man.
Um,
Okay,
it,
so
it's
there's
it's it's not
this
good.
is
Like the problem is it just there's no way you're gonna tag a random cameo. So
Uh,
it doesn't like nobody uses it because it's not very good. But it is like a thought that they had that's like, okay, what if we mess with the cameos in some way, which I think is pretty cool.
yeah, I agree. I'm glad that they're trying all these new
Yeah.
things for sure.
Well, and also I think a big problem with like assist games is like, I mean, you guys know you've played a lot of fighting games. There's really no better situation than like I'm immediately plus on block and you have to guess between high and low. And even if you guess right, I'm still plus on block afterwards. If
Yep,
your assist sets that up, there is no better situation.
yep.
I mean, we see this across the board in any assist game whatsoever. Marvel's Capcom 2, you have Sentinels assist, or you have Doom Rocks or something like that. Marvel's Capcom
Mm.
3, you've got Doom Missiles, you've got Jam Session. Those are like the best assists, right? Now, the only ones that counter that are if they're invincible. So MVC2 has a lot of those.
Yep.
Hagar and MVC3, or they do something that's really unique that nobody else can do. So Morgan can give you meter. You got to have something like that. I think MK was falling into that trap with Cyrax, where that was the default best one, no matter what.
Yeah.
Full combo on hit, fully plus on block afterwards. You can mix up in between. Now it's like they've got it like the Kung Lao one, you can do that, or you could use it just as like I now have a fireball when I don't normally have one. And
Mm.
I
Those
have
are
a
the
really
best
good one on
ones.
top of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
they lock down, but they're also have a projectile presence on the screen, which was why drones is so good. Sentinel drones
Yeah.
is so good, or
Which is
Vegeta, shooting down at you.
yeah, Vegeta shoot down blast. Yeah. So in a
Yeah.
way, yeah, the Kung Lao Low Hat is like a version of the Sentinel drones. Not quite a screen filling, but it kind of creates the same purpose. Like it forces the other person to block or act.
Yeah.
Heads up, Tanner. Your voice went robotic there. I think your computer is running low on battery, or it says it's running hot.
He said low on battery.
It says video packet loss indicator of video. Oh, okay. Flame implies CPU is overloaded. That's how powerful this attack is. Those lockdown assist locks down computers too.
It's like I'll see clips here and there, and that's that's kind of the extent of what I've seen. So like I'm not not really well versed in like the game. I just see like a lot of like the glitches and the stuff that that go viral or get get engagement and stuff. So that's
For
the kind
sure.
of stuff that I've been seeing.
Yeah, that's the thing is we get kind of a warped view of the game because we don't play it competitively and we don't
Yeah,
like participate in the discourse. Like with the Street Fighter 6 discourse, we're pretty well in the know in that regard, but like
yeah,
I actually am super intrigued about how the community is handling Mortal Kombat 11, and when Tanner gets back on, we'll see if he can explain that one
yeah,
to us.
yeah. I guess in terms of like yeah, Street Fighter 6 stuff. The latest thing that we had happen was the costume threes came out. I still haven't bought any. Did you buy? You said you bought Chun's.
I did buy Chuns, yes.
Yeah,
I had some leftover fight money from. Wait, no, I didn't. From the season pass, but then I used the money that I would have spent on the season pass. Now I got to buy that or the battle pass. Either way, I
yeah,
had some fight money sitting in my coffers, so I sprung for the Chun Li one, but none of the other ones because uh, I think that's what we're getting to. The controversy around it is it's like over $100 to buy all of them, and there's no bundle that I know of right
yeah.
now, right?
Yeah, there's no bundle right now. That and like the biggest thing people have a problem with is they're doing kind of like what the predatory pricing kind of thing that like Fortnite does, where it's just like you can't pay like the exact amount. You have to pay,
Yeah,
a certain amount over, and it's like people don't want to. It's like you're basically putting money into the game that you don't want to. So, what's up, Tanner? Are we
let me
back?
add let me add Tanner back in real quick here.
All right.
All right. I will note down this
Little
time.
hiccup here, but it's all good. Are you back, Tanner? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Cool.
We
We
can
can
hear
hear you
you.
too.
Awesome. Just
Yeah,
restarted.
we were just talking about the release of Outfit 3 for Street Fighter 6 and like kind of the predatory pricing
I heard that
and
went
stuff
down
with
without a
that.
hitch. Yeah.
Yeah, John was talking about how yeah,
Yeah,
altogether to get all the if I wanted all the costumes, I got to spend basically like $100, which is kind of ridiculous. And
Yeah.
there's no bundle or anything like that. And because I remember even back in the 4 days, like they would bundle like 4 or 5 costumes for a little bit of a discount, right?
$20. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like
yeah, they didn't know what they had though. I
yeah,
think
I
with
was gonna
Street Fighter
say.
5, they started realizing how much money they made off that, even though the game itself didn't sell well. And so,
I mean, hello, DOA.
yeah,
oh, he said hello, something about DOA, and
yeah.
he's out. He's out again.
Oh no,
Oh, we
yeah,
lost him again.
yeah, yeah. DOA was like notorious for like the DLC stuff, but I mean, at the same time, like they had kind of a free to play model. Like they were the first fighting game to kind of start with that. Um, you'd have whatever. I think it was 4 characters that you could play, and then they would like rotate them out. So it's just like and you could buy like a single character. Like that's what I did. I think with the game, like I bought Lei Feng, and that was it. And then I was just like, okay, well, this is the only character I want to play, so this is what I'm going to invest in the game. And
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Like the thing is, like I want to buy probably like 4 costumes for outfit 3, or I guess 4 of the ones because I wanted Sims. Then my G plays Geef and DJ, and so I was thinking of getting those two. And then I was thinking of one. I was thinking of Hondas too because I actually like Hondas, like the kind of the Hawaiian Honda outfit that he has going on, like he's going on vacation. Like, even though I haven't played him, like I still like the idea of the costume itself. But then I was
sure.
looking at it and I was just like, man, just to get these 4 costumes, it's like $25, and I was just like, damn, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't. I they are very clearly like going for a specific game as a service business model with this game with Street Fighter 6. And I think if anything, they're probably emulating Mortal Kombat or emulating some of the other live service games out there. And
Yeah,
the interesting thing though is it's like it's like the same model as a lot of like free to play service games, but not. It's like almost like Capcom's spin on it. And I think that
yeah,
like there might be like Japanese culture sides of it. Like you can see the Japanese culture in the UI, even the fact that the UI was it looks like it's made for people to read right to left in a lot of ways. Um, but I feel like I feel like they overdid it with how like I didn't want loot boxes in the game, right? And I feel like
Yeah,
that's where we're going eventually.
yeah,
With the
it's
battle pass
frustrating.
and ugh.
Yeah. Well, the battle pass, I don't really have a problem with that because, like, at this time, I don't know if it's going to change. At this time, you basically get those fighter coins back. So, whether you care for the items that are in there, like the avatar items and the titles and the what's it, the music and stuff like that. The thing is like if I put that whatever 255, if I buy that 250 fighter coin pass, like if I get through the pass, I get that back. So that's why I don't necessarily have a problem with it. That and like um, it's not a really kinda unobtainable kinda thing. Like, usually I'm done with the pass, I don't know, within a couple weeks, like, usually I just end up playing through the hub and just, accumulating the points and stuff for it, so I unlock everything pretty quickly. So, I don't really have a problem with that, like,
I
the
ugh. You know, I the one battle pass that I didn't do to go all the way to completion,
yeah.
it, it, it was the one that I was traveling to New York for when I was competing at DTN. So even though I did like a 12-hour day with fucking Street Fighter 6, I still ended up having to pay them an extra $5 to get the next battle pass because
Oh, to get that,
I
yeah.
didn't
Oh, yeah,
complete it.
see?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
is Tanner back online now? I don't see his. Oh, never
Nah,
mind.
nah, he's
Okay.
kinda jumping back and
Okay, we'll
forth.
get there. We'll
Yeah,
get
but
there.
no, I mean, yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you don't make it, that sucks. Because that was the same thing that was kind of like in Fortnite. Because Fortnite had a battle pass, and like I justified buying the battle pass because it was giving me back those V bucks back throughout the duration of the pass. Like when I was playing it regularly, but there was a time like the same thing like you said, like where I didn't finish, and I was like, oh man, now if I want to buy this again next season or whatever, I got to put in a little bit more money, and I didn't want to do that. So that's why, like I said, I don't mind the battle pass thing, the costume thing. Yeah, I wish they would let you buy the stuff with the drive tickets. That's the one thing that I would have liked. I mean, because I mean, one, we were farming tickets in those Chipotle tournaments, but
Yeah.
but
That's probably part of
I mean,
it.
even if it's like a huge amount of drive tickets, like I just want there to be an alternative way to do it because it's kind of like what Five did, right? Like at Five, like they gave you like those challenges and all those things initially, like when the DLC came out, and like you could buy, I don't know if it was a character or a few costumes or whatever with the in game currency, and then eventually they nerfed that so that it was like you'd have to play a lot more to make that.
Mhm.
So I think I'm wondering if they, in a way, kind of learned their lesson in that sense and was just like, well, this isn't very lucrative for us if we do it this way, right?
You know, uh I was at work today, or it was yesterday actually, and someone brought up something. Well, actually, I'm not sure how much I should share about that, but I think that so the fact that the costumes themselves require a lot of extra development time, and it
Yeah,
seems like because then you have like a pipeline of costumes, right? Actually, Tanner on the last episode of the MK one, he was talking about the exact same thing. There's like it takes it because like you have a 3D artist, you have a 2D artist, you have people that design the thing. You have to bug test all of it, make sure that like stuff doesn't clip and whatnot. You have to
yeah.
so there's a lot that goes into that and a lot of development that goes into that. And so if you're using a currency like drive tickets, which can be obtained for free, it's really difficult to track like the
Oh,
the development costs. It's hard to justify the development costs and like deliberately associate that with the amount of money that's coming in. You know,
okay,
um,
yeah, I could see that
so it's hard for them to even do market research in a lot of ways there because it's like
exactly.
people's mindsets are different depending on like if I'm buying with drive tickets, I'm gonna be a little bit more cavalier. I think I'm gonna add
Yeah,
Tanner back onto the call here.
yeah. No, I see what you mean because it's just like, yeah, because at the same time, it's just like, yeah, there's whatever budget you have set aside for making those costumes and DLC or whatever, right? And like if you're giving people alternative ways to purchase
To
it
pay for
or
it, yeah,
yeah, then it's a lot harder to quantify like is this actually making us money or
yeah.
is it worth is it worth us to do this whereas if you're forcing everybody to buy the fighter coins or whatever, the V-Bucks have you, then it's like, okay, well, people are putting this amount of money into the game. Like we can quantify that easily, and this will justify the next round of costumes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it could go so far as to have like tax implications, where it's like,
Mhm.
the development for this, this costume costs X amount of dollars, but how do we track the revenue and or like the actual like profit for it
Yeah.
if they paid with it via drive tickets, and then it gets dispersed, then it gets mixed with like Chipotle money essentially, because we just said how we grinded out drive tickets with
Chipotle
with
tournaments.
Chipotle tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyway, we have
this disclaimer for any of our listeners: we are not corporate bootlickers. We're just providing a different perspective.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh, Tanner, can you hear us? Okay, you back on? I
Uh,
can't hear him. Can
we
you hear
can't hear
him?
you. No, I can't hear.
We'll get there. Let me let me see what his
Yeah,
audio
Tanner's that.
settings are.
I think we got. I think we need fighter coins to add Tanner. He's a new
can,
character.
can you hear him, Benny, or is it am I
No,
the
I
only one
can't.
that can't hear?
I can't hear him.
Okay,
No, I can't hear
okay,
him. They
we'll
nerf
get there.
Tanner. He's like Cyrex. They're like, nope. He's been talking too much.
I
What
heard
about
a
We're gonna
now?
make
click
him a
there.
mute.
I can hear
We're
you
gonna make.
now.
It was my ghost volume thing wasn't on. That's why.
Oh,
Phantom
okay.
power.
My computer hard shut off while I was talking. So
Oh.
I just
Ah,
unplugged it. I'll let it run on battery power, but I think that's what was doing it.
Ah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'm back
Well,
and I will shill for corporations. So what do I need to do?
I wanted to ask you too, though. Like, so we talked a lot about mechanics for Mortal Kombat One, and like the release, like the reception of the mechanics and the reception of the balance. But and we just got done talking about kind of Street Fighter Six's borderline predatory monetary practices, and was curious about like how.
Borderline.
Well, I said I was a corporate shill, right? So I gotta
Oh, that's right.
I gotta
Okay, never
couch it
mind.
a little.
That's actually, yeah, that's a little, that's almost
Yeah,
OD. Yeah, you got to be careful.
right.
Oh,
So that's that. But like, how have the DLC releases and the pricing models been for Mortal Kombat One? Have there been any backlash or pushback from the community in that regard?
It's about, I would say, just as bad.
Just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, so they will do a thing where like there will be a lot of costumes that will be in like the store for this season
hmm.
or something like that, and then it'll go away,
Yeah.
and there's no way to get it again.
Yeah.
And the only way to
Oh,
really get it
those.
while it's time there is just to just buy a bunch of coins. So they do that. Um, I don't think it's anything
Scarcity.
quite as like egregious as like buy this costume for $5. Like it's not like that. But I mean, I have a hard time criticizing it myself because it's like I would be like it's throwing a stone in a glass house. Who doesn't do this now? I mean, have you ever seen like Activision or fucking God, Epic? Like they are the worst at this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
this is actually just, I would say, a pretty. I mean, for fighting games, you might want to look at like the worst offenders, probably like Dead or Alive 6
Yeah.
or Dead or Alive 5 Final Round, which has literally hundreds of costumes
Yeah.
that are like $70, packaged together. And that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
basically made the game afloat because no one bought the fucking game,
Yeah.
but they sure wanted costumes.
Yep.
Um,
You
and
get
I think this is
whales.
just kind of the future as the expectations for the consumer get sky high, as the expectations on the side of the money men gets really high. You have to find any way that you can monetize a product as it comes out. If it costs millions and millions of dollars to make, got to make
Yeah.
millions and millions of dollars back. Easiest way to do that is to gouge the consumer as much as possible, and you got to take advantage of their sky high expectations and hope that translates into money.
Yeah.
Um, it's not great. I don't approve any of this, to be clear, but I mean it is just sort of the way that things go, right? Like this is how these companies have decided the easiest way to make back the like God forbid what GTA 6 is going to do, because if they ran GTA 5 for like 15 years straight or however long it was,
Yeah.
holy Jesus almighty, they're going to milk this GTA 6 for all it's worth.
Yeah.
We played on the PlayStation 8. GTA 5 is going to get GTA 6 is going to get a re-release, okay?
Yeah. No, it's just like it makes me think of like just almost like Hollywood too, right? Like there's people are always like, why are there so many sequels and stuff like that? And like it's the safe route, right? Like
Oh, of
costumes and
course. Yeah.
and the cosmetic stuff, like that's the to me, that's the safe route in the FGC because like you're not gonna release anything that's gonna be balance changing, right? Like you're not gonna sell sell special moves and stuff like that. And like, oh, you're gonna have Zangief, but you need to buy his SPD. Like, you can't do that. That's like cutting the line right there, right? But cosmetic stuff, it's just like you can
$3
throw,
SPD.
yeah, you could throw everything out there,
I'd
and
buy it.
like you could be like, well, you don't need this to play the game, but
I'm gonna be real though. Isn't that what the cameo system is? Like you're selling, like they're selling assists, right?
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
eh,
that's it is what it is. Yeah.
yeah,
Like I said, I'm
that's a
not gonna
bummer.
sugarcoat it, but, like, I mean, if you get Yoga Mummy from Street Fighter 4 back, for $3, why not?
I would do that. Like I would buy taunts. I think taunts could actually be a decent
Yeah,
another
Yeah,
avenue
taunts
there.
would be cool. I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
It
I mean,
it goes
I
back to the I was gonna say like Fortnite, because like there's almost kind of like a sense of backlash that goes with the purchasing some of that stuff too, because like
mhm.
you'd see somebody with it and you're just like, you really paid $20 for that, and like
Yes,
you'd
I
get
did.
ridiculed by like your
It
friends and
flops.
stuff.
Yeah.
Daddy, you bought that stupid taunt? Like, really? Like, come on,
Yeah, I
dude.
bought Peter Griffin in Fortnite, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, at the same time, it's your money, so like, who
I
am
mean,
I to
hell,
question?
I
Like,
paid what, $10 for that goddamn turtle Honda in Street Fighter 4 and 5, like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I forgot about that
Yeah,
costume, man.
yeah. It got
That's the one
uglier between games, it was incredible.
I
I didn't like.
Tanner, you mentioned like the expectations of gamers getting higher. I also think that the standards for gamers get eroded over time. So like that's why we're more willing to pay for this stuff, because it has been like GTA 6 comes out and says that it has just like loot boxes galore. That'll be a new standard because that's what's sold, right? And we
Yeah,
just shift
what
as
was
a
the
consumer
first
base.
Yeah.
what was the first thing that came with that started kind of this stuff? Was it the horse armor thing from like Elder Scrolls? It was
I was
that,
gonna
right?
make a joke about PS8 and the next Skyrim port to PS8.
Yeah, I was gonna say Skyrim.
Yeah,
Yep.
because
It
it's
all
like,
goes back to Skyrim.
was
Yep.
it Skyrim? Yeah, the
I
horse
imagine it
No, no,
goes
that
back,
was
I would say it was like
Oblivion.
Oblivion. Yeah, yeah.
Counter-Strike Go skins were, like, a big deal, like, people were gambling with those, right? Like, that was a big
The
deal
guns, yeah.
years
Mm.
and guns, yeah, years and years ago. So I think it starts from some of those massively multiplayer PC games, and it kinda trickled down. Because, like, as World of Warcraft became, like, a cultural phenomenon, which, again, that game is all about, like, people would build up a character and sell it, there was an
Yeah.
ecosystem
Oh, yeah,
within
yeah.
that,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
I think it all kinda trickles down from that MMORPG, people would do that for, like, EverQuest and Ultima Online and
Oh,
RuneScape of all goddamn
that's true.
things.
Like, I never like, you
Yeah.
think about that, like, you could buy progression in games now, right? I remember
Mhm.
that was a taboo too, where people were just like,
Yeah.
"Well, why would you pay the $50 for this?" It's like, "Well, you know what? I don't have time to level up my character to 75, so I'm gonna buy this DLC pack, and then I can, keep pace with my friends." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's an extension of that, basically, and I
Yeah.
think like, Ubisoft and, like, Activision are probably the worst offenders of this. I don't think fighting games has quite gotten as bad. I mean, the worst you're gonna see is, like, a game like where it's like Grand Blue is $60 with a $60 season pass for 2.5 years. Nobody plays
Mm.
the fucking game because they can't afford it. And then,
I was
then
gonna
they
say
gotta.
like the Capcom Street Fighter 6 model right now. It feels like the Japanese attempt at a game as a service kind of deal, like the Japanese
Well,
studio development.
I think you might be right because games as a service, as like it has traditionally been done, has been bombing horribly. I mean, Square Enix will never recover from the Avengers.
Oh yeah,
They
I
still
forgot
haven't.
about that.
Final Fantasy
Yeah,
16 sold really well, and they're like, "We haven't even made up half of what Avengers cost us."
Damn.
I forgot
Nobody
about
played it.
that.
It was yeah, it was exactly. It was incredibly expensive to make. It was critically maligned when it came out. Had a ton of really high end, expensive DLC. It had to
Became a
maintain
meme.
itself. Became a meme.
Uh,
Rumbleverse is another one that was what Iron Galaxy went through. I just read an article about Iron Galaxy going through the Rumbleverse thing, and they were able to get away without layoffs, but it was like a huge crunch on the company because they had a game of service game that they couldn't afford to keep in service.
yeah.
Mm.
That's I mean, I don't know. That's a tough thing because it's like you hear about these games. Yeah, Final Fantasy is the one that I think of, like the 7 remake, and like how
Mhm.
long it's taking them to do like the other parts, right? Because it was like part 1 right now. It's supposed to be like 3. Is it 3 or 4?
Well, actually, as a matter of fact, they've actually really stymied the process because 7 Remake probably took about 10, 12 years to come out, and then the next one is coming out in February. So they've
Yeah.
actually they've streamlined it quite a bit, I think, to a normal
Okay.
dev time. But it took. I mean, you can watch videos on Final Fantasy 7 Remake, but the problem with that one is they had to switch studios midway through the game because the one they put out was trash, and they were like, "We can't put this product out It'll hurt,
Yeah.
the game. It'll hurt our bottom line, so we have to take over. Which you
Yeah.
hear that all the you'll hear about, a game that's gonna come out and it looks shitty internally, and then they'll go. That happened to, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. They were gonna remake it, and it was gonna be made by Ubisoft India, which should
Mm.
have been the first red flag of anything. And
I didn't
then
even know there
you
was a
didn't hear
Ubisoft India.
and it's that's there's a reason why you don't, because they only make cell phone games, right? And now they're gonna make a major
Ah, okay.
it's like, okay, they only make mobile games, and now they're gonna make a major release of a, like, the
Okay.
game, the action game that everything is based off of now. You're gonna do really? And of course, internally, people were like, "It's not looking good. We really
Yeah.
got to take advantage of this because, good lord, man." And so eventually they did, and now we have Ubisoft Montreal, the real, the main studio, being like, "We're taking over. We'll release it when it's finished."
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then
Okay.
that's the problem nowadays too, is like they're so heavily invested in some of these games, like the dev times are so long, like, right? And it's just like it has to work, right? Like
Well,
it
that
has to be
and that
profitable.
you're right, Benny, and that ties into the consumer expectation. I mean, look
Mhm.
at NRS, right? Like NRS was a studio that you could read articles about. They were getting a lot of flack over their crunch, doing 80-hour weeks
Hmm.
when this game is coming out, especially when the DLC is coming out, just doing these horrible long weeks with nobody getting paid anymore, and
Yeah.
overtime is mandatory and all this stuff. And that's been a big focus in the industry, is how do we reduce that?
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of it is, the answer is longer development times, but people have expectations.
Yeah.
People who are putting money back in these they have expectations. So it's like, at some certain point, you're going to have to um, make these deals with the devil, and it sucks, but it is like the reality of what we deal with. And
Yeah.
everyone, AAA gaming development, you
Yeah.
hear a lot of people have these horror stories about it,
Yeah, so I was gonna say the
and it's
AAA games, like, yeah,
yeah,
I don't know, it's rough, it's rough, like, I don't
yeah.
like, I remember growing up, like, I always thought, like, creating a game and being a game dev would be cool, and then, like, as I got older and I heard all this kinda stuff that they go through, I was just like, "This sounds horrible," like, I don't even wanna be involved in this at all, like.
I sadly, I think that's true. I think a lot of times, like, a lot of people would rather risk it going doing like an independent game on, like,
Yeah,
a version of Unity they could get, or Unreal, rather than going to a studio, and it's like you have these guys, these like dude bros who didn't know what they were doing, and now they're corporate executives making millions of dollars, and now they're
yeah.
making these choices, and it's like, well, when we were making games in the 90s, we just snorted coke off hookers' asses and went right to work at 3 a.m. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's cool, but, like, I have a family, I got to do this and that, and I can't really do that anymore. And they're like, well, you should. It's like, well, that's not how the world works anymore. So it is. I mean, it's tough. We have the
Yeah,
Game Awards going on right now, and I've seen a lot of people wonder, like, how many of these games were made with these guys, like, just killing themselves to make it,
yeah,
just so it would work. And even when it comes out, there's tons of bugs and stuff, because
yeah, there's
you
the
don't have
Q
time to go back and get
yeah,
everything.
there's no Q&A, yeah, or the
The
QA
QA
process.
process, yeah,
Yeah, it's not the same, like, man, and that's another thing, like, yeah, you talk about the bug fixes for, like, the or, yeah, what you would call bug fixes for the NRS
Prime K1,
games, and
yeah,
it's just like,
exactly,
yeah, like, I remember games would just come out and, like, that'd be it, like,
yeah.
it had to work, it had to be solid, like,
But
I
at the
could.
same time, I wonder, is when I talk about the expectations thing, it's like, do I, is the game's a little buggy, but are the people making it going home at 8:30
Yeah, yeah,
for their family? And it's like, well,
exactly.
if that's the cost, maybe that's okay.
Yeah,
So again, some people would disagree, and that's where the consumer expectation comes into it, because they want the game to play perfectly, or we
yeah,
release it on the time schedule we have with the most ethical means of production, and that means
yeah,
it's not perfect when it comes out. I mean, it's tough. I don't have the answer. I
The
wish I did, but I don't.
the
yeah,
expectations for the consumer, like crunch developer crunch in particular, is built into the DNA of the whole industry because that's how it
Mhm.
started, right? And then
Yeah.
now consumer expectations are built around that original crunch time frame, and then the fact that the games have exploded in scope and audience too. Like it
yeah,
It's
changes
an
everything.
Ouroboros, right? Like, it kinda eats
yeah.
itself,
I I was trying to find a way to say Ouroboros on another podcast episode with King Hippo on it, and he beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
It makes me think, like, because, like you said, it's built into the industry at this point. Like, it makes me think, because I used to work for FedEx for about 8 years, and, like, peak
Oof.
season holiday time
Oh,
is
yeah.
ridiculous, right? But that's the time that they would hire, like, a bunch of
Dudes.
temporary workers. The post office does it. Every carrier does it. UPS. Everybody hires temporary workers at this time just to keep up, and it's just like that's not something that's realistic for software development. I wouldn't think. I mean, maybe certain use cases, but I mean, in general, just to kind of like throw people in there, just because it's like, hey, we need
Uh,
to hire some mercenaries.
we that's
Uh,
contractors. That's
yeah,
what like you hire on contract to hire people, or just contractors in general. Some like on H1Bs, or even like sorry, I'm just dropping terms. But like yeah, like you can get mercenaries for software development, and it's
for
not always
sure. Yeah,
pretty, and it's actually kind
Yeah,
of there's some like I've it intersects a lot with my career basically.
yeah,
So yeah, I think even like those balance patches that we were talking about earlier for MK1, right? Those are probably set in a roadmap like a year in advance, right?
oh
Or
yeah,
maybe not a
and
year,
then
maybe 6 months, but like
well, and
and
my guess is they got cert guys working on it,
bingo.
early to get to go through Xbox and or Sony and Microsoft to make sure the patches can even go.
Yep.
Then it's like, then okay, now we gotta get the hard work
mm,
of having the patch ready. That's why a lot of these things, because it's like tweak var stuff, it's stuff that you don't. That's why there's not major balance changes, right? Because it's like we couldn't, not with the time frame we have. We could do little tweaks, like
mm,
again, changing the Cyrax cameo thing. It probably isn't as big a deal. It's a big deal, but it's not as big a deal as changing a character. And
Mhm.
if
yeah,
it's a bug fix, anyways, we can justify it, right? It's a bug fix. We got to fix it through the tweak var system or whatever.
yeah,
So it's like
Alternatively,
that.
it's like we want to fix it, but we also have like three other fixes coming out, so why don't we bundle them together and delay the
Yes,
first
yeah,
one, right? And then that turns into a problem because people are like, "Why aren't you fixing this? Where are the costumes?"
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
It's like,
since we're talking
But
about
like the
gaming
costumes
culture,
is.
oh, go ahead, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No, I got you.
Since we're talking about gaming culture in general, and you mentioned the Game Awards earlier, King Hippo, like, are there any particular outcomes of the Game Awards that you're excited about, or like fighting game or no?
Um, I hope Alan Wake 2 wins everything that it's nominated for. I mean, that's one of the best games probably I've ever played.
oh,
Really?
okay,
Certainly the best game I played this year. Remedy, Finnish developer, they have basically made nothing but Prime their whole career. Their big first launch was Max Payne,
yeah,
Oh wow,
and
okay, yeah.
yeah, they made Max Payne 1 and 2, and then
mm-hmm.
they made Alan Wake
On
1,
the
which
way,
was in 2010, and then they made Quantum Break, which I thought was I've had mixed feelings on, but the more I play it, the more I think it's actually a pretty solid game. They made the
yeah,
game Control a few years ago, and now
control,
Alan Wake
Oh, they
2.
did
yeah.
Control? I didn't
They
know
made
that.
They
Control.
did
So
control, yeah, because
they made
there's some stuff tied in with there. Like I haven't played Alan
Alan Wake
Wake, but
2
like,
is, yeah, very tied into Control, and a lot of their universes are interconnected, but, like,
oh
they've
my
been
god,
doing nothing but quality for, like,
Good for
20
them.
straight years. And
yeah,
and
That's
you and it
awesome.
shows because they Max Payne 3 got made by Rockstar, fucking sucks.
yeah.
It's not
Okay,
good.
well, see, okay, because like I'm at this point with like Street Fighter 6 where like it's not that I want to stop playing, but it's like I kind of want to just kind of take a break from it right now and just play some other stuff.
Mhm.
And like Alan Wake's been on my list to play because I really loved Control. Like I had a lot of fun
Yeah,
playing that game, and there was a lot of like lore and like hidden stuff
yeah,
in there. Like there's a lot of reading. Like that was the only downside that I would say. Like I thought the game itself was awesome. Like if they put Magneto in a game, like it should play the way that that
Play
she
like
does.
Control.
yeah, that Jesse does,
Yeah,
Okay.
it
yeah.
should play like I felt literally felt like a damn superhero when I was like grabbing stuff around and throwing it at people, and I was just like, yo, this is how Magneto must feel like when he's just throwing stuff around the earth.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's
I've been
just like,
saying that the best superhero games I've ever played are Control and Persona 5. And
oh
Oh
they're not
yeah,
even like
Persona
a
5.
superhero game, right? But they have the
uh,
best, like,
Yeah.
this is what it would feel like if you
yeah,
had a
control.
secret identity and you had to
Yeah,
manage your work hero life, or if you wanted to be an actual superhero and could fucking melt people with your mind.
yeah,
Yep.
control is awesome, man. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, I don't know. I had a thing with Alan Wake where I tried to play it, and like, it was like one game where it was making me nauseous to play it, and like that doesn't happen very often. So it's like, I think I was talking to Saber about that, but playing like the PC like remaster or something
Mhm.
like that, and doing that instead because I was trying to play it on like 360, and I don't know if maybe it was that or something like that. But I've been definitely wanting to get into those games.
Yeah, I mean, Remedy only makes great stuff, and so for this game to get the acclaim it has with everything, it seems like I know Baldur's Gate 3 will probably end up taking a lot of them too, but it seems like a lot of Alan Wake came in late, but took a lot of momentum because everybody thinks it's like this amazing stuff, and I'm sort of glad they didn't bite the bullet on like because there's certain games that I think would have normal in a normal year have taken like a lot of the game of the year when I don't think they really deserved it. Like I think Jedi Survivor was quite disappointing.
Hmm.
And I don't think it should have been nominated for a lot of awards, and it wasn't. I think Final Fantasy 16 was pretty flawed. while I liked it a lot, I do think it was pretty flawed, and I was glad to see it didn't get like a ton of awards, nominations, and stuff like that. For the right things, it would, for
Sure.
score, for voice acting, performance, and stuff like that. But for game of the year, there's probably better options.
So is Alan Wake 2 your game of the year then?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
100%. I would say Alan Wake 2.
That's high praise. That's high
Yeah,
praise.
it's I mean, you're gonna see it, not to spoil too much, but they're gonna have the fictional band within the game play at the Game Awards
Oh,
Nice.
because it
okay.
plays so much into the game.
Yeah, because I've heard
Um,
it from you. I think it was Scott, and then two others. But really high praise for that game. So
yeah, I mean, it basically plays a lot like Resident Evil 4, but I just got to say that Silent Hill 2 remake is really gonna run up against this because it's like stole all your thunder, man. Like I don't know how you're gonna compete with this survival
And it's fun.
horror and like existential psychological horror. How do you get I don't know how you beat this, man.
hmm.
Okay. And like it's funny because Alan Wake is you mentioned it's like Resident Evil 4 and then it's up against Resident Evil 4 remake as a
Yes, yeah.
and for
They
game
are
of the year
different.
there.
They're very different games, to be clear. Resident Evil 4 is more of an actiony game. Alan
Yeah.
Wake 2 is not.
Hmm.
But they have, I would say, that the style of it is kind of the same. Although Resident Evil 4 remake was tremendous as well. That was a real.
This is a good
I
year
thought
for
that was
video games.
Capcom. I thought that was Capcom's best game this year. Street Fighter 6, obviously, close second, but it was a good year. It was a very good year. We've had a lot of really good games that came out. Um, after the pandemic, which really shorted a lot of these games' development times. We're now starting to see the really good games come out. I mean,
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2, that might be the best looking game and lighting wise I've ever seen in my life. I mean,
Ooh.
I have not seen a game graphically that even comes close to that. The style lighting they went for. And then, I mean, think about this in February, just in the beginning of next year. Here's what we're getting. We're getting in January, you're getting Like a Dragon 7 or Like a Dragon 8,
Ooh.
Like a Dragon
Yeah.
8. You're getting Persona 3 Reload comes out in February.
Mhm.
Tekken 8
Oh.
comes out in January.
Yeah.
And then Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth comes out in February on 2 discs. So it's
It's still
stacked.
coming. Yeah.
It's still coming. It's stacked. I mean, we there's no time to take a breath. But it's hard because I want to play these fighting games, but like Benny said, there's so many good games that came out this year that I'm like, I gotta play
Yeah.
this. I gotta put some time
Yeah,
away.
see, that's why I tell people like, man, like I'm really glad I don't have FOMO because like I used like people if to the average person, like, I'm a hardcore gamer, but like I have not played like anywhere near the number of games or franchises or anything like a lot of my other friends have because they'll be like, "Don't you want to play this?" And this is like, I have no attachment to that whatsoever. Like, I've never touched that game. Like, I've never touched that franchise ever. Like, I don't care. Like, but man, if I had any type of FOMO, like, man, I'd be a fucking mess.
Yeah,
So
it's
Like
rough.
right now, like, yeah,
what's your game of the year, Benny? That's not Street Fighter 6.
it's not Street Fighter 6. Man,
Yeah, eliminate the easy answer.
I would have to think of what I've even else played this year. Like, there's not a lot of like extra things I played. Man, I'd have to even think about that. Because I've basically been on. I don't have a new console, so I don't have. There's nothing on PS5 that I've played. There's nothing on Xbox exclusive that I've played. I've basically just been on PC. Man, you're gonna make me think about like what I've even played this year, other than Street Fighter 6 and like
I have to keep an
Tetris.
app of things like of games that I've played in 1 year just so I can remember. So
Yeah,
I'm with you there.
yeah. I was doing that last year, like because I think it was I don't know if it was Nico, Mr. SNK, or that started that thing where like he would like post every time like he'd beat a game or something. So I started doing that. I did that for a couple years too, and then like I just kind of stopped. Man, I gotta go look now. Now you're making me question like what have I even done this year besides Street
Yeah.
Fighter, John? Like Jesus,
Questioned his entire
like because Street Fighter came out what June? Oh
June,
my god,
yeah.
yeah.
Hardcore
man,
gamer.
yeah.
So
That's what I'm
hardcore, you
saying.
can't remember, Doc.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like to like
Yeah.
to the layman, like to my friends and family, they're like, oh yeah, he's a gamer, but like I haven't touched
What's he play?
anything. I've touched like 1% of the stuff that you
Yeah.
guys have probably even played. Like everybody's talking about Spider-Man and all these other things.
Oh
Like
yeah, I haven't even thought about it. That's why
I
I didn't
haven't
even
even
talk about it in
touched.
game of the year because I haven't touched it.
Yeah, Sea of
The
Stars. Like I
It's
wanted to
not
play
good.
that. I didn't touch that.
I'm
Like
playing
you
Yeah.
guys
Sea
are talking about
Stars.
all
It's
kinds of
okay.
stuff.
I feel like
Yeah.
that game was getting a little like there's games like that where they're too like it's because they're like other games that people like them, and that always makes me weary because I'm like, well, okay, it's like this game. I could play that game. I want to play a new game.
Yeah, you've
That's why I
co-opted
like
my
Alan Wake.
nostalgia, right?
Yeah, and that's why I like Alan Wake 2 so much. There's really nothing else like it out there. I mean, you could say it's like Resident Evil 4, but it's not really. I mean, it's
Man,
so like I these nostalgia bait games I always am very critical of. Like every game that's just exactly like Symphony of the Night, except they made it this game, and it's like, dude,
Yeah,
could,
Metroidvania. Yes. So Sea of
bro,
Stars
I
is
could play that game. Like it's not like that's not a hook to me, you know.
Sea of
yeah, like
Stars is Chrono Trigger and Golden Sun, if written by a
I'm like,
22-year-old fan fiction artist, fan fiction person. Like
Well, that's
it's okay. I'm having fun. It's just it's not great so far, and maybe there'll be a big twist that'll like make the game really dark for me. I did just hit like a big plot point change, but I saw it coming a mile away. Like it's,
okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I might also be too cynical, which makes me not the audience for that kind of game. It's
mm,
not a cynical game. It's definitely like a callback to that era
The
where
old
you
school,
just
yeah.
yeah.
I
Um.
I like. I mean, you know, I think there's a place for cheery games. Like I played another game I really really liked, and now it didn't get any love because it came out early in the year. But the game Hi-Fi Rush,
Oh
my kids
that
were
game
yeah,
was
playing. Yeah, my kids
that
were
game was
hell
playing
of a
it.
good
awesome.
Yeah,
game.
That game
Yeah.
was awesome. It's just it came out so long ago after such a stacked year that people forgot about it. But it's awesome,
Yep.
and
That's what.
it's totally cheery and over the top and wacky, and yeah,
Yeah.
I love that
It's
game. Yeah,
Devil May Cry meets what's it called that
Beatmaster.
yeah, or that Enter the Gungeon, wait, not Enter the Gungeon, the rhythm indie game, whatever, roguelike thing.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
uh,
Shit.
I'm trying, man, you got me
Um,
thinking. I'm trying to think, John.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
I'm
I'm
still waiting
looking.
on your game of the
No,
year,
no,
man.
no. Like I'm starting to look through this. Like before, it used to be like the Xbox achievements would be like my log of stuff that I've played, right? And I'm looking through that, and like there's like one game that I've finished this year, I think, and that was about something I played with the kids earlier, and it's an Xbox 360 game of all things.
oh
And
no.
I'm trying to think, like I don't think I've played anything else besides like something that I finished. Maybe
Okay.
I
wait, did
mean,
Stray come out this year? Or
Stray
Stray
came
last
No, it
year?
came out
out
last year.
last year,
Okay,
It came
yeah.
yeah.
out last year because
Stray
it
was
was
like the
nominated for
last.
game of the year. Yeah.
Okay, Stray was like the last game that I personally remember playing like on a PC or anything, like from
Yeah.
start to finish. Like there was a bunch of stuff that I started, like man, what was that martial arts game? Sifu. I started
Sifu.
that
Yeah.
on
Also
PC,
last
and
year.
I never finished that. Yeah, and I'm thinking like this year, like prior to June, before Street Fighter came out, like yeah, I don't think I played anything. Holy shit!
Most of my gaming happened like after like in the past 2 months, realistically, because I've been on a break from competitive gaming for a little bit, and like
Yeah,
I've just bowled through a bunch of different Mario games. I think I mentioned those on the last episode. I would actually say Mario Wonder might be my game of the year, like as
I
far
haven't
as like
even
what's
touched
in
that. And
that
I want
category.
to. Yeah.
yeah. See, I haven't touched
Yeah,
that
you want to
either.
talk cheery games and like uplifting games, like that one, that game does it right. And it's also like I thought I would be burned out of Mario in the same way that I'm burnt the fuck out of Pokemon. I am so burnt out of Pokemon. Like the actual, I'm not talking like the merchandising phenomenon. I'm talking about the actual like core gameplay. And
Yeah,
I'm not the audience anymore. They can just sell that to kids now, so it's whatever. But
yeah.
like I can't even do the remakes of the ones that are supposed to be nostalgia bait for me. I tried. Those games suck now. They're so slow, dog.
I've heard bad things
Uh,
about the game labs. They're free, whatever that name of that company that makes those games, that they're lazy and that they make the same game over and over again. People seem like they're fed up. Like it's not just you that I've
Yeah,
heard that from.
yeah. Well, I liked Sun and Moon, but like where they are capable of innovating, and they've released that one Arceus game, which is like an open world game, which is also I hate open world games and I hate Metroidvania games. Those are not my jam. So I didn't touch that game because I'm like I'm already sick of it. Let's just like why even make it so why make an open world Pokemon game? It's never a good idea.
yeah.
Everyone's always like, I want open world Mirror's Edge, and then they made a Mirror's Edge open world. It
It
was fucking
sucked.
terrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually, it was like a year ago that because it's on Game Pass. I was like, I don't remember the second one. Was it really any?
it was
I feel like it was
bad.
actually, yeah, it was bad.
I didn't even play the second. I love the
It
first
was.
one. The first one was great.
It's not.
First
It's
one's
like a
good.
game. It's a game that wasn't meant to be like, it's tightly designed. So like the
It has set
levels are
levels. Yeah,
yeah, kind of like Batman Arkham. Like Arkham doesn't work when you can go everywhere and fight every goon in the city. Like it's just not as good. Like
Yeah,
it was a bad idea. It was a bad idea. It's
yep.
not made for every game.
yeah. I think I
But
got to ask.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think I gotta ask my son like what else we've played because there's a bunch of stuff that we started that we never finished, but it's not anything that released this year. So like, yeah, just thinking about it right now, like, I don't think there's a game that released this year that I've played from start to finish.
Uh-oh.
That you know,
Yeah.
I think it's literally because since Street Fighter 6 came out, that's basically been my time.
I
Man,
decree on this
what's happened to
competitive
me?
fighting game podcast that you are not a gamer.
To play, yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
You failed the test.
You
Although
host a competitive fighting game podcast, but not a gamer.
Yeah, I'm a competitive fighting game player. All right, I play
and
fighting games and I compete, and that's it.
I know we got a hard out soon, but I did want to follow up on something I kind of hinted at earlier.
Sure,
I
yeah.
was saying
Yeah.
that my day on Twitter has been pretty wild. And it's because I started getting tagged and DM'd. I don't know if you guys remember that Sonic Fox did an event with Waka Flocka Flame, the former
Oh, yeah,
rapper,
yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
and it kind of was just this lame. You know, it ended up being like they had to do it in a little arcade venue, and like he beat him blindfolded. That was fun, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Sonic did not get paid in full,
Ah,
and they have not been shy about saying it. And it's
surprise.
Ah.
getting pretty ugly now and again with them and the organizer, this guy named Fashion Rivers, going back and forth. Now, I will say, I was very critical of Fashion in a blog that I wrote, and so in the spirit of good faith, I reached out and I did an interview with him,
Oh.
and it became, and it's on my blog. You can read it. It's in 2 parts.
Oh, that one. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I think it was very clear to me that despite what he says, if you fact check it at all, you'll start to find very big holes in everything that he ever says and major caveats. So I would like to say that I'm tired of being right and that you should
There we go.
always listen to me because I've got a very good sense about these things. And I could have told you from minute one that this thing will completely, it's somebody's going to end up with hurt feelings or, you know, or worse. And it's like, dude, he's now claiming that because the venue changed, he doesn't have to pay the full extent of the original contract. And I'm like, look, I'm no lawyer, but I don't think that's how these things work.
Yep.
Yeah. So
There's
it's I think the problem is it sounds like from what I'm reading that Sonic did not want to be associated with this group after Waka hard endorsed Trump, and that caused some hurt feelings.
oh.
Now I would say that it's because your feelings are hurt doesn't mean you shouldn't pay somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's wrong. And so if that's the case, then that should be bad. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I could have predicted this going that same way and that it did nothing for anybody. No, MK1 did not sell one copy more because Waka Flocka Flame played it. I could
Are
have
your
told you
Twitter
that. He
are your
sold as
Twitter
many copies.
notifications are they filled with I told you so's, or like, or rather people
No, I mean,
remarking that that you were
no,
right?
I mean, not really. I just got like some DMs from some people, but like, it's funny that like, you know, Waka sold as many copies of MK1 as Lupe Fiasco did of Street Fighter 5, which is none. It was stupid to begin with. I don't know why everyone thinks celebrity endorsements sell games anymore. Like, I don't,
Nah.
it's so 90s brained. Like, I can't, it's like Michael Jordan trying to sell stuff. Like, it's like, that's not how things work.
Well, you tell me Lil Wayne didn't sell any copies of Street Fighter 6?
Yeah, Wheezy, yeah, yeah. I mean, you'd think he'd sell like 3, maybe 4.
He probably
Oh,
sold for the
man.
people that are older than us.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
Like, there's a
And, you know,
specific
it's like
demographic they were trying to capture. They got some YouTubers and they got
The
Lil
people
Wayne.
the people that forgot that Street Fighter is still a thing. It's
I
like,
bet
"Oh,
that
yeah,
like
he's talking
I
about
bet
it."
that Japanese VTuber thing sold more copies of Street Fighter 6 than Wheezy did.
Oh, man.
So yeah, it's you know, it's just funny. Like you know, that's why when I did the blog, that's the kind of thing I wanted to cover because like I feel like you could smell it from a mile away. And anybody who says like this is good for the FGC, you should totally follow this. Why?
Yeah.
Make your case, make an argument because you have none.
Yeah.
And I just wish one of these days someone in good faith would be like, well, this is look, I just don't know what I'm talking about. If somebody said that for once, I'd be like, oh, I'm good. I'll retire. I don't have to do this anymore. You just told me you didn't know what you're talking about. I'm glad. But
I,
nobody's gonna do that. So
I highly encourage our listeners to check out Them's Fighting Words blog. It's but that particular interview with what his name was, Fashion?
fashion.
The real
Fashion.
Right?
fashion.
Like
Yeah,
David
Real
Bowie.
like
fashion.
Fashion.
I we did an episode a couple like a long time ago on this podcast regarding like shady TOs, and we've had our share of local shady TOs, but like
Oh, sure.
I saw a lot of like the same kind of personality traits through your writing on that same kind of answers.
Oh,
A
yeah,
lot of holes.
you're telling me super vindictive, vaccine denialists are, like, not the most upstanding people in the world? Like, it's like, to me, it was a red flag when he's like, "Well, I wanted to work this event, but then they said we had to be vaxxed, and I didn't want my family to die." And I was like, "What did you just say?" And, like, I actually, like, because a lot of people don't push back on this stuff. I actually did in the interview, like, I'm like, "There's no record of mass deaths," and he's like, "That's not true." It's like,
It's
"What?" And he's like,
fascinating.
"Yeah,
It was such a
look at the fact."
fascinating read. Really, I'd
It's
highly
like, I don't
recommend
know if
it.
I don't know if you guys are YouTuber pilled, but, like, there's a YouTuber named H Bomber guy that just put out, like, a 4-hour video exposing plagiarists on YouTube. And, like, there's one of the guys in it is, like, it's psychotic the way he'll go, like, "Did you know that somebody wanted to do this? Look it up, it's true." And it's not. It's not true at all, like, and it's like people will just say it with the utmost confidence, and it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah. That's
And
arguably that's like the best thing to come out of like the AI paradigm that's shifting now, where everyone's questioning if it's a robot, right? Now,
yeah,
Yeah.
at the very least, now we're questioning it.
yeah, that's true, yeah,
Whether that's someone just making shit up on the internet, which is what
yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kinda what it feels like. It's like the AI, like, in a way, fashion was like the AITO, like, it would say all the right things, but it was kind of off. Like, it was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna get people paid more than they've ever been paid at ever by any TO," and it's like, "Wait, what does that mean? Are
Yeah.
the
Character from the
TOs paying
internet.
people personally? Like, what are you talking about?" Because there's
Yeah.
these little things where you're like, "I don't think you quite know what you're talking about," and, like, you
Yep.
understand, like, if you're gonna operate in the FGC space, you probably shouldn't have, like, your biggest guy be like, "I'm gonna endorse Trump." Like, I just feel like on a like, I'm not even just criticizing the politics, I'm just saying, like, on a
Yeah.
if purely demographics, you've got a
Yeah.
young, lot of gay people in the FGC,
Yeah.
a lot
That's
of
what I was
queer
gonna say
people.
too. Yeah, that's what I was
What
gonna
are
say, the
you
demographic,
thinking?
yeah.
What are you thinking? That's
Yeah.
the
I
worst
mean,
PR move you could ever do, and I'm like, "Dude, you gotta pull in your boy here, man."
it could be worse. He could have endorsed crypto too, right?
Yeah, I'm sure glad he didn't do that and pull up a whole project where he blatantly lied about a Costa Rican teenager or whatever the fuck that was.
Read the
Read I s
article.
Guys,
Read
read
his
the
article.
blog,
It's
it's all
really
there,
fucking
yeah.
good. It's really. I'm like, this is
It's
all a shill. We're not
yeah,
corporate shills. We're them fighting blog shills.
yeah, do it, yeah, like, it was fascinating, it's fascinating the minds of some of these guys, and I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not, and they're always gonna be around, I think just sadly, there's, like, a weird desperation of these people to make, like, a career out of this when we're in the middle of what clearly, like, esports could not have been more repudiated by the market forces as it is.
Yeah.
Like, Overwatch League dead, League of Legends League on its last legs, like, everything, and either that or you go to Saudi Arabia, right? Like, and as we
Yeah.
see, no one has any stomach to turn down Saudi Arabia money.
Yeah.
So, it's
Also,
like we're
also
kind
on
of
the
in that
blog.
space where people are desperate to
Yeah.
do it, and they'll believe anything.
Yep.
Also on the blog, yes,
Yeah.
and people are really desperate, and they'll say, like, "Okay," I'm like, "But look at these guys." I'm like, "Well, at least they're gonna pay me." I'm like, "What do you even have proof of that? Have the checks cleared?"
Yeah.
In Sonic's case, clearly not. So, like, I
Yeah.
that's not even true, like, that you can get paid from these people. And it's like they're so desperate that it's like you'll do anything, and, like, I mean, yeah, there are some cons, like, I just retweeted this thing where Capcom, I guess, now is starting to strike YouTube channels that have their games up with mods in them.
Nah.
Ooh.
Hey, Nintendo has that same line too, right? They don't want
Yeah.
their games up with mods, and if you wanna play ball and make big money, you gotta play ball with these guys, right? That's the reality. If you
Yeah.
wanna make it big time in esports, you're not gonna not get Capcom involved, you're not gonna not get Nintendo involved. And it's like, do you play ball with these guys or, Prince Jafani Al Jafar in Saudi Arabia who, has probably had 3 people killed? And it's like, mm,
No,
I think it's
I
a
get
hard
you.
choice. I get it. Yeah, it's a hard choice, but, I don't blame anybody for having some conflicted feelings about it, but some of the more obvious ones like this guy, I feel like could have been avoided.
Mm.
It's
'Cause
very it's a, I don't want to call it cyclical, but it is reminiscent of like the outset of esports, where you have a lot of people coming in trying to be like, oh, this industry is booming, I'm going to get in at the ground floor and then bring in my all my great ideas from the outside. uh but
there's less
instead of new, it's like, oh, hey, this market just crashed, I'm going to swoop in. There's a little bit of that. So
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
tell
lie.
everybody how bad they've been doing it, and I've got the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
that's the new angle, right? Like, and it's like, that doesn't work because this has never succeeded on any massive level, so it's like, I don't know where you suddenly have the ideas that this is gonna work. Like Waka Flocka hasn't made music in what 10 years. Like he's most famous for being a reality guy. So it's like, okay, already the business angles are not aligning here.
Yeah.
MK1 is going to have sponsorship issues no matter what. You can pull someone's spine out of their body. Okay, I don't think L'Oreal is going to be like, buy my shampoo, it drizzles right down the neck hole.
All right, that's a great quote to end on. This has been the Absolute Guard Podcast, episode 65 with John, Benny, and Tanner. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Spiral Series, YouTube at youtube.com/Spiral Series, and an Apple Podcast and Spotify under Absolute Guard. To all of you watching, conditioner down the neck hole. I'm just sorry.
Write down it.
All right, we're gonna call it here. L'Oreal, GG's.
Later, guys.